What happened while we were away, brought to you by The Swamp Strikes Back. The April inflation figures are here and things are not getting any better. 8.3% year over year, still around 40-year highs. The core consumer price index, which excludes food and energy costs, was also higher than expected, rising 6.2%. And yet, Democrats and a metric crap ton of Republicans last night voted to fire up the money printers once again, passing a $40 billion spending bill for aid to Ukraine. Of the 209 Republicans in the House, only 57 of them voted against the bill. Joe Biden set out to soothe Americans' nerves over inflation yesterday.
You gotta be frustrated. I know. I can taste it.
He continued on.
We've built a strong economy with a strong job market. And I agree with what Chairman Powell said last week, that the number one threat is the strength, and that strength that we built is inflation.
More numbers from the April inflation reports. All forms of meat and eggs are up over 14% year over year. Cereals are up over 10%. This is in the face of an ongoing nationwide baby formula shortage, which was brought about largely by an FDA recall of a certain variety of baby formula after at least 2 infants died after ingesting contaminated formula. Texas, Tennessee, Missouri, Iowa, North Dakota, and South Dakota are all hardest hit, with more than half of all states having out-of-stock rates of 50% or higher. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, meanwhile, says taking away baby killing is going to harm the economy.
Are of teenage women, particularly low-income and often black, who aren't in a position to be able to care for children, have unexpected pregnancies, and it deprives them of the ability often to continue their education, to later participate in the workforce. So there is a spillover into labor force participation, it means that children will grow up in poverty and do worse themselves.
Thank you. Let me just say my time on the topic.
This is the truth.
I'll just simply say that as a guy raised by a black woman in abject poverty, I'm thankful to be here as United States Senator.
That voice you heard at the end of that is South Carolina Senator Tim Scott. A radical pro-abortion group called Jane's Revenge is claiming responsibility for firebombing a pro-life group's office in Wisconsin, and it's promising more violence nationwide. Learning Chinese today. Today's phrase is, Hamas, is that you?
哈马斯是你吗?
The threat of violence comes as pro-abortion extremists have targeted the homes of Supreme Court justices. Here are some voicemails Wisconsin Family Action has gotten since that firebombing.
I'm so thankful that the good Lord finally took action on people like you.
You're going to burn as well. You're all going to burn. You think you're following the will of Jesus? You're following the devil, actually.
We're sick of you evangelical pieces of go to hell.
And whoever set that fire is a true American patriot. You people are just utter filth of the planet. And it's too bad your whore mothers didn't abort each and every last one of you.
Burn, little Jesus freaks. Burn, burn, burn.
A new Trafalgar Group poll finds over 75% of Americans oppose protests at the Supreme Court justices' houses. Jen Psaki, your thoughts?
So I know that there's an outrage right now, I guess, about protests that have been peaceful to date, and we certainly continue to encourage that outside of judges' homes, and that's the president's position.
Moving on, a new Fox News poll of the Pennsylvania GOP primary shows what Trafalgar had earlier in the week. Trump-endorsed liberal Mehmet Oz and upstart Kathy Barnett are in a statistical tie alongside businessman David McCormick. According to Politico, Barnett has been outspent on TV advertising by her opponents 358-1. Club for Growth recently announced a large ad buy on behalf of Barnett. Elon Musk was interviewed by the Financial Times yesterday and was asked about permanent bans on Twitter.
It was not correct to ban Donald Trump. I think that was a mistake because it alienated a large part of the country, and did not ultimately result in Donald Trump not having a voice. He is now going to be on Truth Social.
Op-ed at the Washington Post, George Washington University needs a new name. And finally this, an individual filming the pro-baby killing terrorists who had infiltrated Justice Samuel Alito's neighborhood in Virginia caught this very poignant contrast. For those of you listening, that's the sound of the terrorists contrasted by one of Alito's neighbors playing "'Tis So Sweet to Trust in Jesus" on the piano. The pianist reportedly said, "I wanted to do something to counter the noise. There's nothing more steadfast than the joy of worshiping our Savior through precious hymns." And that's what happened while we were away.